Zanpakutos are easily the most interesting part about Bleach. The idea of having these swords that can do crazy to insane things like turning the user into the sun, controlling ice, casting illusions and even controlling gravity has never been explored up until Bleach came into the scene. And in its 15 years of serialization, Bleach completely revolutionized the anime sword fighting genre. In anime and manga, when it comes to swords, no one does it better than Bleach, and that is pretty much common knowledge by now. And anyone who denies that Bleach should be your first choice when you're looking for a sword fighting anime with explosive battles and interesting plot points has either not watched Bleach or is just blatantly hating. Now coming back to Bleach, in Bleach we have a lot of different Zanpakutos or these powerful swords, and so it's perfectly normal and given that once in a while we will come to debate or discuss which one of these swords is more powerful. But we all know that in Bleach we have Reiatsu, and Reiatsu is everything. Reiatsu is defense, and it also translates into speed and durability. And so more than anything, Reiatsu is what determines how strong you are. Regardless of your Zanpakuto, if your Reiatsu is not high enough, then it's not gonna be a powerful Zanpakuto. But what most Bleach fans don't know is that this also applies to the other way around. If you have more powerful Reiatsu, if you're given a Zanpakuto of someone who is way weaker than you, then that Zanpakuto is gonna adapt to your Reiatsu level and is gonna be just as powerful as you. But I do not want to give an example because that example pertains to the plot of this video. So moving on, if you were to ask a Bleach fan what they think the most powerful Zanpakuto in Bleach would be, they would probably mention Kyoka Suigetsu, which has the power to cast illusions on anyone, and it makes them see what Aizen or the user of Kyoka Suigetsu wants them to see. And some would even say the most powerful Zanpakuto is Ryujin Jaka, which has the power of the sun, or even Ichimonji, which controls the concept of names. As you can see, we have a lot of Zanpakutos that each do different things and have different abilities, and so it might be hard or even impossible to arrive at a conclusion of which Zanpakuto is the most strongest. But every Bleach fan can agree that the most powerful Zanpakuto is a Zanpakuto that pertains all these other Zanpakutos. If you take all the other abilities of the Zanpakutos and you put them into one, then that would certainly be the most powerful Zanpakuto. I know for most of you, you don't know what I'm talking about, but for some, they already know where I'm going with this. In the Bleach Can't Fear Your Own World light novels, we were introduced to a very interesting Zanpakuto, and this Zanpakuto is Enrakyoten, the Zanpakuto of the Tsunayashiro household. But in this video, I'm not gonna go into detail about Enrakyoten, how it looks, it releases and such. If you wanna know every detail about this Zanpakuto, then feel free to watch my video which I did a long time ago. Now, I have to warn you, the quality of that video is quite low. You have been warned. Anyways, Enrakyoten is a Zanpakuto that is very unique and very different from any other Zanpakuto that we've ever seen. This Zanpakuto does not have a definitive user. That means anyone can use it, and that also means that this Zanpakuto is eternal. But by far, the most interesting part about this Zanpakuto is in its ability. Okay, let me backtrack for a second. This Zanpakuto does not have an ability. Alright, now that I think about it, this Zanpakuto has an ability, and that ability is copying the abilities of other Zanpakutos. So basically, this Zanpakuto does not have an ability if it doesn't copy the abilities of other Zanpakutos. I'm so sorry for making this confusing. This Zanpakuto is just unbelievable. Anyways, this Zanpakuto, as I stated, can copy the abilities of other Zanpakutos, but with one condition. The user of this Zanpakuto must have seen the abilities or the said abilities of the other Zanpakutos. That means Enrakyoten cannot use the ability of a Zanpakuto that the user has not witnessed being used. But Enrakyoten also has one more limitation, and that is the user cannot fully utilize the ability of another Zanpakuto, which belongs to a person who is much more powerful than them. This was revealed when Tokinada copied Ryujin Jaka, but even Shunsui noted that the flames of that Ryujin Jaka were not as powerful as when Yamamoto was using Ryujin Jaka. But, as I said before, this also applies the other way around. If you give Enrakyoten to somebody whose Reiatsu is very much higher than the other person's, then he can actually make the Zanpakuto even more powerful. If you give Enrakyoten to Aizen, who has an infinite amount of Reiatsu, and he copies Ryujin Jaka, then Aizen's Ryujin Jaka through Enrakyoten will be more powerful than Yamamoto's Ryujin Jaka, and this is the sole reason why Enrakyoten is the most powerful Zanpakuto in the entirety of Bleach. Because if you give Enrakyoten to someone like Aizen, who is probably the person with the highest spiritual pressure in Bleach, then there's nothing limiting Aizen. The only thing is that he has to have seen all these other Zanpakutos that he wishes to copy. And for someone like Aizen, who possesses a lot of knowledge on other Zanpakutos, especially during his battle in the fake Karakura town against the captains, it would be absolutely catastrophic to actually give him Enrakyoten. But I forgot to mention one thing. There's a weakness with Enrakyoten. Because of how powerful Enrakyoten is and the amount of power that it can actually grant the user, using Enrakyoten comes at a cost, and this cost is that the more you use Enrakyoten, the more your lifespan is reduced. So the more you use Enrakyoten, the more you're closer to dying. But for someone like Aizen, this shouldn't be a problem because he's immortal. His body can never deteriorate or even stop working essentially. The fact that Aizen is immortal means means he has an infinite lifespan. That means he can keep using and using Enrakyoten with no limits. And it even gets more ridiculous when you give Enrakyoten to someone like Yuha, who possesses the Almighty. Yuha can just look into the future and see all these other Shinigami releasing their Zanpakutos, and after doing that, he can use Enrakyoten to copy their Zanpakuto. And same as Aizen, Yuha cannot die. When he's close to dying, he can just use the Almighty to rewrite his death, or even choose a future where he doesn't die, and in that way he can use Enrakyoten over and over again. And don't forget, Yuha also possesses one of the highest Reiatsus in Bleach, even on par with Aizen. So even if he decides to copy the ability of a weaker Shinigami, let's say like Hanataro's Hisagomaru, then he would make Hisagomaru seem like the most powerful healing Zanpakuto in Bleach. And this is not even a hypothesis. Tokinada was able to use Hisagomaru to essentially heal himself of holes in his body. Okay, Shunsui actually blew a hole through Tokinada's abdomen, and Tokinada healed that hole using Hisagomaru, which is one of the most weakest Zanpakutos in Bleach, I kid you not. So you can just see how ridiculous Enrakyoten is depending on a user. And that is why I, Anime Therapy, believe Enrakyoten is easily the most powerful Zanpakuto in Bleach. Thank you if you reached this far. Subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also when you subscribe, remember to turn on my channel notifications so you never miss an upload from me. And that was it from me today. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be safe and cheers!